Hello and welcome back, everyone. We are almost finished with our story. We are back with more Alone with You, finishing off with Winnie's Route. And without further ado, let's begin. Oh, it's been so long. Cerulean, did you hear the storm again last night? I sure did. That must have made it difficult to sleep. In any case, the storm appears to be coming back at around regular intervals. We are likely to experience it again in another 5 days or so. Come and see me in the core room as soon as you can. We should talk. Well, we can always talk here. What's stopping you? We can communicate from pretty much anywhere. But anyways, we're going to complete our final rounds of all the locations and then finish up with the game. Well, I have some good news and bad news. Which one would you like to hear? Always go with the bad news first. You're always so practical. The bad news is, this reoccurring storm may take our eventual escape difficult. However, I crunched some numbers last night and I think it's time for some drastic steps. I want you to go to the terraforming fields today. I don't think you've ever been there before. It's time the installation that controls the ground and orbital terraforming units, and as of now, it's still operational. But I think it's time to shut it down. The atmosphere is very unstable, and the terraforming is only making it worse at this point. So when you're ready, please head to the shuttle bay and plot a course to the terraforming fields. Okay, we're on it. I appreciate you taking this seriously. I like how the little eyes our main character has. I always refer to Cerulean as the main character. I should really just start calling her Cerulean. Or they, or anyone really. Thinking this playthrough. Yep, here we are. These are the terraforming fields. We've never been here before. It's been accessible up to this point. So now we can finally go there and see what's going on. I personally feel like we should have turned this stuff off the moment we started planning our escape. Because doesn't it use up a lot of power? I don't know, what do I know? Looks like the terraforming installation is still operating. It's a shame we need to shut it down. You can't see them through the clouds, but a series of high-powered nodes continuously orbit the planet, changing the atmosphere from above. While at the same time, this installation works on the ground and helps us to monitor progress and make adjustments. It's time the most advanced system of its kind in Hudson Cartier's network, but we have to do what we can here to do. Head inside and look for the terminals you need to shut down. I'll guide you. I wish that Sam was more than just a screen. Like maybe we could have a super cool watch, you know, that creates some sort of hologram of Sam every time he spoke. According to work logs, the last crew team to be here consisted of Superintendent Ryan Payton and Engineer David Afan. More consistent. That's interesting. My records show that even though they were stationed here together frequently, they rarely got along. I have a whole directory of complaints and incident reports. In any case, be careful in there. It looks like that installation was compromised. I'm reading nasty particulates in the air. Now that's kind of a bummer. Imagine going to work every single day and, you know, having to deal with someone that you really don't like. Or at least in a setting like this where you literally have no choice. That room contains the guidance equipment, which allowed the crew to manipulate the terraforming nodes orbiting the planet. You'll need to shut this down, I'm afraid. That's no problem. Anything in here? No, just this. Are you going to turn off the guidance terminal? Oh, there's no need to ask. Alright, that's that. Okay, let's see what's in this door. Oh, there's only 2 doors. This is a very short mission, I forgot. That room contains the environmental equipment, which is now how the crew kept track of terraforming progress on and beneath the surface. The equipment controls those huge cylinders you may have seen outside the installation. We'll have to shut this down. So I take it these were the 2 directors that were stationed together. Reclined in that chair is the limp corpse of terraforming engineer David Afan. His remains appear very withered. From the scan, I can make out that his vascular system was attacked by some kind of foreign body. That's weird. What about you? You've scanned the remains of terraforming Superintendent Ryan Payton. The scan reveals that he died from inhaling something poisonous. His lungs were affected by whatever toxins are in the air, likely a substance from the dangerous atmosphere outside. Well, I wonder how that happened. Well, I guess they don't have helmets, but wouldn't you have been able to tell? It looks like those food remains are from a colorful cake of some kind. I can barely make out some lettering in the icing. It reads, "Happy birthday, David." It appears Superintendent Payton and Engineer Afan both died the same way. For them, it would have been like going to sleep. Perhaps this little meeting was a way for them to resolve their differences before the end. How tragic. Oh, you can say that again. But it was nice that they were able to make amends. And dying in your sleep, I feel, is the best way out. No pain or anything. Are you going to turn off the main station terminal? Yes. But yes, dying in your sleep. I would definitely prefer that. You know, who wants to be in pain? Okay, well that's that. The terraforming engine has been shut down. The orbiting nodes will cease firing and that station will quiet down. This is not an ideal scenario, but it's the best we can manage. Good work. You can come home when you're ready. I probably could have fit this in with the last episode, but I didn't want to make it too long. Since the rest of these missions start getting a little lengthy, they start pulling on your heartstrings. I remember this next mission is a little hard. A little hard on the emotions. I remember when I first completed this game, I was emotionally ruined. It's like how you feel when you finished a couple seasons of an anime or a movie or a book series. It's just over. And I feel like it's even harder when it hits you emotionally. I'm glad we got that over with. I'll be monitoring the atmospheric conditions constantly and will keep you updated. Please come see me, as usual. I'd like to talk to you about something. Yeah, I was emotionally dead after a few days, maybe even a week after this game. I couldn't pick up anything. I was like, oh, I'm sad. Alright, Sam. What do you have to say? Okay, with that out of the way, we can get back to finding what we need for the escape ship. Oh yeah, I think I mentioned this earlier, how our eyes look like blue rupees from Zelda. I think it's pretty neat. But today, we shouldn't head out anymore, with the weather being what it is, and I think you need a bit of a break. So I prepared another special simulation for you in the holosim chamber. Oh, I do hope you like it. This one took quite a while to put together. I'll call you on tonight when the simulation is good to go. With whom would you like to spend time in the holosim chamber with? Well, no one else than Winnie. Okay, I'll talk to Winnie and make sure she's available. I'm sure she's looking forward to it. It kinda makes me forget that even though the holograms are, you know, holograms, but Sam makes it sound like that treating them like people, like they have plans too. And, of course, they're working on helping us with our escape ship, but, it almost sounds like they're alive. And, like, we could possibly see them. But no, just holograms and data. Cerulean, it's time. The simulation for tonight is ready. The storm outside appears to have subsided somewhat, so I hope the holosim chamber will be stable. I really think you're going to like this simulation. It's very majestic. I'll take your word on it. I did enjoy the Northern Lights the first time we had a special simulation. I wonder what we'll see here. Alright, to Winnie we go. Isn't it amazing up here? This vista is just breathtaking. Those clouds up there are called lenticular clouds. Did you know that? Well, I did. I definitely studied before this date. You're pretty smart then. Most people don't pay attention to the weather when you think of it. You see the way they look stacked, like a bunch of discs in a pile? There are a few reasons for that. Air moves over an area, like this mountain, and sort of condenses in place, and then more air comes in and does the same. So the air comes in and settles like that, forming the stack of clouds. It's pretty neat. There's one thing lenticular clouds do that other clouds don't though. I'm curious if you know, so here's a little test. Do they change color, stay in place, or make sounds? What do you think? I think it would be terrifying if these clouds made sounds, but I know the answer. They stay still. Because we know clouds change color when they absorb in a lot of moisture. That's right, because of how they're formed. They don't move along like other clouds do. Good job. I'm glad I studied. Anyway, I just got excited. I thought it'd be fun to quiz you. We're in here thinking about work so much, sometimes even our minds wander. So, I know about what you had to do today. The AI had you shut down the terraforming engine, didn't it? What do you think about that? Well, it makes sense. I suppose it does. If the AI thinks it's the only way to prepare for your departure, then that's what had to be done, I guess. Anyway, we covered some pretty heavy ground last week when we met. I've been thinking about it ever since. How do you do it when things get this bad? It's like the walls are closing in. I just get so paralyzed, you know? Well, I think of you. You do? That's really sweet of you to say. I mean, you have so many things to think about, and you know what? I'm going to stop talking. I'm going to just say thank you. That means a lot. I've been thinking about you too, in fact. I wanted to ask you something. These holosim programs, as beautiful as they are, they're like an escape. They were meant to make living out here more bearable. We just need to spend a lot of time on escaping. Even coming out here to this planet, I think for some of us, that was like running away. You can start fresh on a colony. Everyone begins at some point, you know? So, I've never asked you, what were you before? I mean, before you came to this colony with everyone else? Well, I was a scientist. Hudson Cartier employed so many top scientists. You must have been the best in your field to get their attention. Well, being up here, you can forget all that. I suppose that's sort of the point. This crisp air, that beautiful sky. I guess sometimes I wish we could just be like this forever, you know? I wish we were all just okay, and we could watch this sky and quit worrying. I wish William could see this too. I suppose he's at peace now, at least. but I wish this didn't have to happen. Well, listen, Cerulean, maybe now isn't the best time, but I was thinking, well, given everything, I wish we could have known each other before all this, you know? In better times. Do you ever feel that way? Well, of course. That's so great to hear. And I'm glad we get to spend more time together this week. I've been thinking about you a lot. Anyway, it's probably time for you to get going again. I hope we get to see each other again soon. Good night again, for now, Cerulean. Well, this was enjoyable. Even though I barely got to see the clouds. But yes, I wonder, does anyone else wonder what life could have been like if you had gone back in time and changed one little thing and see, you know, how it would ripple out through the future? The friends today that I have today, I definitely wouldn't have been friends with if I hadn't spoke to them in that time period. I know this, because meeting them today would be a total disaster. But our weirdness balanced out and we're still friends today, and I think that's beautiful. And it makes you wonder what it could have been like if you had, you know, if you had done something different. You could have had a whole new set of friends. And I also wanted to mention, I didn't play this scene a lot, but this day 11 sequence, or whatever day it is, our colony gets worse and worse as the days progress because of the storm. Good morning, Cerulean. Did you enjoy your time in the mountains last night? Absolutely. That is fantastic to hear. It was no small trick to find that simulation and get it up and running. Well, our time is getting more and more precious. Please come see me in the core as soon as possible. Always straight to business with you, Sam. And then you call me very practical. But yeah, that escape thing that Winnie was talking about, we can all use an escape right now, given with these hard times. Since you shut down the terraforming fields yesterday, I've already read changes to the atmosphere. I think it's working, but I still think time is against us. So here are the tasks we need to accomplish now. Since Tower E was destroyed, we only have one area left in the comms relay. It's Hub Tower. I'd like you to investigate it. And since our efforts to collect fuel at the cave's refinery were unsuccessful, we'll have to head towards the research lab. Finally, the Agrodome dormitory is still somewhat intact, and I need you to see if the staff ever found a cure for the food supply. I know things have been somewhat grim, but we have to push on, head to the shuttle bay and plot a course to get started. What about Colony B? Oh, well, listen, I'd rather we just not go back there. I mean, if you don't need to. Just please, for now, let's just focus on the comms relay, the agrodomes, and the caves. Really, it's just better if you get moving. Head to the shuttle bay. A little hostile. Yeah, Sam is clearly upset with the events that happen in Colony B. Poor Sam. It's kind of sad though, it's really not her fault. Let's get on to it. So, this mission is a little lengthy, but we can do this. It might be a longer video, but that's okay. After our little adventure with the signal tower, I discovered that there was a faint transmission coming from the central hub of the relay. The hub was badly damaged during the rift event, so I didn't think we should risk coming here, but Miss Laurier convinced me to change my mind. She told me of her idea to patch together another way to send out a broadcast. After finding this transmission, I thought we should at least try it. So, I'd like you to check inside for the source of the signal and see if it will help us get our distress message out. Alright. Starting our mission. As I thought, the tower is in extreme state of despair or disrepair. I think the transmission is coming from one of the upper floors. Alright, so yeah, we have to go to the upper floors because we won't be able to, you know, advance from here. So let's there we go. Yeah, be careful. It's really easy to get stuck in here. So let's do a thing and go upstairs. Yes. So now on the second floor, let's go to the ship quarters and see what we can find and explore. Several books have been left to rot in the moisture that has overtaken that room. They are completely ruined. Those quarters were temporary lodgings for shift workers. Something likely was using them until the room became compromised. Alright. Let's go look in the other room. Oh, it's locked. Well, seems like we can't go in there. Yes. Going up. Anything else over here? Nope. Very interesting. That looks like some kind of makeshift pulley system. Someone must have been trying to move heavy objects from this floor to the next. Interesting. Alright, anything over here? The equipment has been completely destroyed by exposure to the elements. God, it makes you wonder how all of this stuff still even works after all this time. Alright, let's go up to the security room. And, oh, what's this? Another terminal? Drone? That drone has had its components thoroughly scavenged and removed. It is but a shell of a former self. Alright. That exposed data code is connected to the security system. If you pull it, you can disrupt the security system. Will you break the cable? Yes. Alright, well, that has a password to it, but I know what the password is, but let's go, you know, find the answer. Let's go discover. So this room should be open now. Or not open. Ah, jeez. I'm so silly. I didn't even go downstairs. Yes. Alright, yes. So this should be unlocked. The break room. Ah, look. A drawing. There's a hasty sketch of a map made over pages from an old book. The lines are difficult to make out among the text. It indicates 3 buildings. I'm assuming they're buildings. With a web of lines going between them, the map marks areas around as well. A title has been written nestily above the sketch. It says, Castles. I wonder what it means. Well, I have an idea. Those torn pages appear to belong to the others you found so far. The story continues again. Paula had once again begun to settle in her castle. The same one. The routine of survival kept the dark out of her thoughts. But as her castle began to creak and buckle around her, just as the one before, and the one before that had, she felt it again, beside her. If only you'd had reached out. If only you had done more than just listen on your little radio. You don't know what you're talking about. There was no one to reach out to. No one's safe, anyway. That's why I'm here. You're going to die here. She seems to wait for a very long time before speaking again. I know. And there's nothing you can do about it. Here Paula starts to cry. I know. I'm afraid that is the last page in this batch. What a sad story. That's really tragic and terrible. Death is heavy. And it's heavier when you know it's coming. Or, you know, when you're really close to it. Alright. Let's go all the way up the stairs and up the ladder. And this door. So, pretty much in here, in this game, every time you see a word in all caps, that's usually the password, or a hint to it at least. So, the note pasted before said the door reads, "I've had 3 so far. Do you want to try to enter a passcode?" Yes. Oh, now, let's spell it right. Let's not have a repeat of what happened in the last episode and misspell the word 3 times. So, let's go in here. Well, look at that. Is that where the signal is coming from? Well, I would assume so. That's it. Those terminals are the source of the signal. They've been manually networked in a sophisticated array so as to boost their processing power. That's interesting. I can read it from there. It's a distress signal, like the one we were trying to send. Someone beat us to the punch. Only, well, the signal is different. How very clever. Clever? Well, unlike our plan, this signal isn't trying to alert nearby shipping traffic. No, it's much more clever than that. It's actually a self-repeating and preserving signal. It isn't just a broadcast, but kind of a virus? The one that attaches itself to wherever it lands? We're saved? There's no way to tell. I need to think about this and consider the ramifications. For now, I think you should continue to explore the tower. Interesting. Alright, well, we gotta go over here. That's a standard issue energy tool. It looks like it only has a bit of charge left, but you can use it to open certain panels. Alright, let's grab it. And so now we have to go all the way back to the first floor, to where that first door was. Sometimes I wish you could fast travel, but I'm pretty sure the game wants you to, wants to reinforce the atmosphere of how grim this entire situation is. Even if it takes a long time to go up and down. And with all these sequences. Alright, so yes, we can go in here. And here is where the latch works. The energy tool you found should let you open this up. Alright, let's go. Though the planet's landscape made it difficult, facilities used geothermal systems whenever possible to save energy. There used to be coils that dispersed the heat generated by the communications equipment and returned cool air. Judging by the destruction you found so far, the coils aren't functioning and are buried under rubble. Thanks, a binder. It's a heavy-duty operations binder for some of the communications equipment used in the relay. It's missing its pages, but something is written on the cover that looks like a radio code and the word William. Well, I think we all have an idea of what that is. Anything else? A batch of pages are scattered on the rock floor. It seems like they fell out of something. They likely continue the story of the pages you found before. These ones, though, are scraps and leaves from other books. What I can make out says, after their last conversation, Paula didn't see the dog for a long time. She didn't need to. Its words haunted her every day, and as her food and water continued to deplete, she began to wish it would show up, just for someone to talk to. I know you're there. You're with me everywhere now. Say something. But for weeks she received no answer. Finally, as Paula lay in her newest castle, her final home, she heard its voice again. So you've admitted it, have you? To yourself, I mean? You don't seem very happy about it. What happened to being smug? I don't feel like it. Things are too serious. You're starting to sound like me. At this, the dark offered a sad smile and sat down beside Paula. All they could hear was the wind outside and the creakings of the castle. That's because I am you, of course. You know that, and I'm afraid our time has run out. Paula sensed how cold the dark was, and she felt her strength drain away, like a small stream. I think it's time we found out what's up on the 5th floor before the entire relay collapses. Oh, before the entire relay collapses. Can we look at this? Those modular columns allowed hot wiring and switching of various equipment and channels as operators set with the shifting conditions. It looks like someone has done some creative rewiring inside. Nothing is quite where it should be, but somehow the wiring makes sense. Interesting. But yeah, has anyone ever been so desperate for attention that they'll just take anything? I remember being in school and I would ask someone, hey, what's up? How are you doing? Because, in American culture, when you ask someone these things, you usually expect, yeah, I'm good, how are you? And you're like, yeah, I'm good. And then you both continue on your day. But I learned that if you were to go elsewhere, like, let's say a different country or you're experiencing, stuff with a different culture, asking someone how they are, they will tell you. They will tell you everything that's going on. And sometimes that can be a cry for help. Because they have no one else to talk to. And honestly, it's a lot easier talking to someone else, a stranger, than your friends and family. Sometimes it's bigger than your friends and bigger than your family's your problems, so which is why therapy is very important. There is another segment of that pulley system. It must have been very difficult to haul things up 2 floors with this. I see. It almost looks like a hose. Alright. That appears to be locked with a password. Do you want to try and enter it? Yes. William. Alright, this is a tough part towards the end of this mission, so just be careful. Oh my, that moon must be quite a sight. It is. It is a hot mess. And these papers on the floor. It appears to be a desk constructed from a wall panel and 2 struts. There's a pile of field notebooks and quite a lot of pages. Those pages seem to have the same makeup as the torn pages you found. That, coupled with the writing instruments there, means those stories were likely penned there. I see. Can I scan these ones on the ground? No? I guess that all counts. That terminal is in very poor shape. Though it has had many modifications added to it, it has since been disconnected and thoroughly vandalized for parts. I don't understand why someone would go to the trouble of setting up that terminal only to completely disable it. Well, I mean, if you're trying to scavenge for parts, it makes sense. Anything over here? That chair is rusty and old, by colony standards. There are a stack of short novels beside it. From there, I imagine the view of the planet must be quite spectacular. Yeah, more books. That shelf is constructed in quite a hasty fashion. It contains many physical books on various subjects, some of which have been written in extensively. I see. That's no colony equipment. That radio has been configured from a variety of parts. It's been made to pick up all kinds of digital and analog signals. There's nothing but static coming from its speaker now. How long has it been running like this, I wonder? That's incredible if it's been running all these years. More books. There isn't anything left in that medical supply kit, except for a few pills and a portion of water. Oh, Cerulean, I am so sorry. Based on my analysis, it looks like we found the body of Winnie Laurier. Judging by the condition of the corpse, she died about a year ago, in 2063. A year ago? That's so close. I'm just running the scan a few times to confirm cause of death. This will just take a moment. After these few weeks of seeing Miss Laurier in the Holosome chamber, is this difficult for you? It would absolutely be horrifying. There was nothing you could have done. You didn't even know Miss Laurier prior to this entire catastrophe. I understand that probably does not help much. Well, I have the results of the scan. Based on trace materials and what tissue is left, I have determined that the cause of death was suicide by ingestion of medication. She was likely very malnourished by the time she decided to take her life. It doesn't seem like there were a lot of food stores there, despite her efforts. She must have mixed several medications from emergency supply kits in the end. If it is any consolation, she likely died in a state of sleep. Despite how resourceful and clever she was, it seems Miss Laurier met with the most tragic end. I know it may not be much right now, but at least we're able to learn about Miss Laurier's transmission virus. There isn't anything more you need to worry about there. Come on back home. This is hard. Someone that we've been seeing potentially develop romantic feelings for. We finally found her corpse. There is another segment of the pulley system. It must have been very difficult to haul things up 2 floors with. Ugh. How did I access that all the way in front of the ladder? But yes. When I first played this game, it was very impactful and very emotional. They zoomed in on her corpse and everything. I think we had an idea that it was suicide. And it's never an easy thing to talk about. And it happens all the time. On one hand, we are very fortunate that Miss Laurier realized her inadequacy and did what she did. Yet on the other, she was apparently unable to cope with her situation. Such a tragic loss of a good mind. Well, I guess. But it's a little more than that. Very tragic. When you're in so low that you're honestly convinced that there is no way out. Everyone stay safe. It is hard. Difficult. I can't even understand the difficulties that a lot of people have to go through, especially now. But when you've hit the bottom, all you can do is look up. I don't know what to say. Just come see me when you're ready, I suppose. If anyone is struggling, I'll leave a hotline in the description. This is a heavy topic, and it should be talked about. I've synced your data from today. I'll refrain from passing on the news about what you found for now. I think it would be best if you deliver the news yourself in the Holosome chamber tonight. Well, that's gonna be hard for the both of us. But we'll do it. After finding Winnie, when I first played through this, it was just awful. It was so sad. And then when I found the others, I don't know, to me it just progressively got worse. It's time, Cerulean. Good luck in there, Cerulean. I think it would be best to be tactful about this. And, yeah, a year ago. When you think about it, that's not really a long time. At least from where we are. It almost feels like we've been on this colony for a year. You know, with us working every single day, scanning every little thing. Alright, Miss Winnie, we've got news for you. We need to talk. Oh, you're back. I was just working on some new simulations for your ship. I'm still having a hard time with the deep space problem, though. I just can't seem to figure out how to replicate the range and strength of the comms tower array. I mean, you need to... I am so sorry. Sorry? Sorry for what? Oh, I see. You found out what happened to me, didn't you? Oh boy, alright. I'm ready to hear it. What did you find? Oh, that's awful. I killed myself? How could I do that? How could I do such a thing? From what you describe, it sounds like I was in a bad state. I guess I finally gave in. Finally gave up. That story I was writing, it was just me trying to deal with what was going on, wasn't it? I mean, I was probably in those towers alone for years. But, hold on, wait a minute. The terminal array you said you found, that's perfect. That makes a lot of sense. Of course, that's what we can use to fix the ship. That's how we'll let you get your signal out after you take off. I can use the scan you made at the terminal array to come up with something similar for the escape ship. It's automatic. It's self-replicating. It's perfect. I knew there was another way. It's not about sending the strongest signal. It's about using other ships and relays to do the work for you. I don't know if I would have figured that out in here, I guess. I guess the other me, she was in a different position. She was desperate. Hopeless. Even before, when Tower E was functioning, she must not have been able to stay there. Too dangerous, perhaps. Not livable enough in that place. So she tried to replicate the signal array from the other tower, and knowing that she didn't have the same equipment, she created her idea of a virus. I'll get to work on this right away, and I'll make sure the AI understands what we're planning to do. I'm confident you'll get exactly what you need for your ship. But it's so tragic to have to come across the idea this way. It must have been hard for you out there. To be honest, well, this is still pretty difficult to deal with myself. Can we talk about something else for a while? Let's talk about you. Okay, I suppose some closure would be good, in a way. I just want you to know what you found. I mean, what the other Winnie did. I wouldn't. I couldn't do that. Not now. You've been such an amazing friend these past weeks. Listening to me go on and on. Maybe that other version of me, she just needed someone like you. Just a friend? Well, you know what I mean. I know I'm not real. But having you come visit me, well, it makes me feel real. Real and alive. Can we talk about something else? Sure. Oh, Cerulean. I was hoping you'd... Well, okay, let's just talk. Okay. Well, I guess since I like stories so much, I'll tell you one. But you have to pick the topic. Do you want to hear about, let's see. When I was a kid? When I was a teenager? Or before I joined Hudson Cartier as an adult? Well, I feel like we would get some funny stuff out of, your young adult years, like, a kid or a teenager. So why don't we go with teenager? It sounds like it would be a very interesting story. Great, well, I guess I offered. Okay, there was this time just before I graduated high school. And, well, we had a really important final project. It was a team assignment. We had to build a working radio from a set of standard parts. The point of the project was to teach us mechanical skills and to understand how these various wireless signals worked. It's actually, well, it was the first time I did anything like what I did here. I guess it's when I learned to love this kind of thing. But my group, they were really bad students, and to be honest, they were idiots. They wanted me to do all the work. And I did, for a while. I went way overboard. My radio was souped up. I did twice as much as I should. But then I realized they weren't doing anything and were just using me to get a good grade. So I trashed the project. I messed it up on purpose and we all failed. It felt like they deserved it, you know, for using me. My mother was so angry, but when I told her why I'd done it, she sort of understood. It was the first time I stood up for myself, I guess. Well, that's good for you. I started acting out more after that. Sometimes it got me into trouble, but I don't know. It still seemed like the right thing to do. Teenage rebellion at its finest. But, you know, I would personally go to the teacher and tell him, hey, you know these are bad students. I know these are bad students. Like, you know, help me out. Oh, it looks like you found more of those pages. What do these ones say? Oh my, the story makes all the more sad. Regardless of what happened to the other Winnie, she just seemed to suffer so much. It's almost like she knew what was coming, but kept on struggling anyway. I mean, what other option was there really? But this must have been her only way to understand what she was going through. In the end, I mean, think of it. There was nobody else around. What do you think of it? I get it. I'm sure you do. You're in a similar situation now. Well, this has all been a lot to take in, but at least now I know what I need to do, so the AI can complete the work on the ship. In the meantime, well, I hope you'll find time to visit again, you know, before you have to go. Absolutely. That's great to hear. I know you'll be busy for the next little while, but I hope you can make it back. Well, until then... It went a little better than I guess was expected. Alright, everyone, stay safe and talk to someone, or yourself, or write it down. Sometimes getting it out of you some way does a lot of wonders. So this was a long episode, but thank you for joining me and staying with me, and I shall see you later. Thank you for watching.